Hello and welcome to Mum's the Word here on Channel Mum. This is the show where we chat about everything to do with being a mum, to do with parenting, but we also tackle the topics that divide parents. Today we're going to be talking about the wonderful and very messy world of weaning. But before we get started, let me introduce you to the team. We have Stacey, Lucy and Kate, and I'm Charlie. And before we chat about weaning, let's go to the streets of the UK to find out what you think.
So we started when he was 6 months, and we did mushed up food and tried to do fresh if we could, but we did use pouches as well for when we were out and about.
I've never used pouches or jars, anything like that. I've generally always used my own, and baby-led weaning means you don't need to do so much of that sort of mashing up stuff, and a lot of rice and baby pasta. And then I don't have to do very much.
I fed with the spoon more, I don't know why. I felt like they would get more food. I feel like with baby-led weaning, they put it all on the floor.
With weaning my first child, he seemed to want more than just milk, so I took his lead. So baby-led weaning, I guess. He was 5.5 months, and we started a little bit of puree, but then to be honest, we didn't make it smooth. We added a few chunks in there. We wanted him to get used to the way of eating and slowly built upon it. And then it eventually worked up to a platter of food, and he got very independent with his eating.
If we're out, it's so much easier to just grab a pouch. I tend to use like the Yellow's Kitchen ones, or the ones that haven't got loads of crap in it, basically. But I use my own sort of purees and home cooked food when we're at home, but I always take a pouch out. It's just much easier.
We did actually use some jars to begin with, but not puree ones. Again, for convenience when you're out and about. If we were at home, we used some jars, but yeah, we were careful on which ones we chose.
So that's what people on the streets of the UK think. I think the general feeling there was baby-led weaning is great, but sometimes it's easier to do purees, especially if you're out and about. Kate, what do you think? What did you do?
We definitely went down the puree route just because I found it such a big step to go from no food to putting fruits and vegetables and things in front of him. It actually really scared me. And the fact that he could have potentially choked and things like that. So we definitely started quite slowly. We did the purees a lot of the time, and then it just felt like more of a natural progression as he got that bit older to have more lumps in his food, and then we went on to putting maybe a piece of fruit or some grapes or some vegetables on his tray, and maybe a breadstick or something, and it just kind of evolved really gradually and felt quite natural rather than just putting a load of pieces of solid food on his tray and expecting him to eat them.
Yeah, because it is quite a daunting thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Stacey, what do you think?
It petrified me, baby-led feeding. Is that what it's called?
Yeah. Baby-led weaning. Yeah.
Weaning. It really, really scared me. I think the idea of it, I was really excited. I did wean with the purees. I'd done them myself this time round, where with Rika I didn't. I really wanted to do it myself this time. Jake had absolutely hated them and wouldn't take them, and I tried for weeks and weeks, but he just wasn't interested. And then we done the baby-led weaning, and I was so scared he would act like he was going to choke, or he was just really sensitive to the food. He didn't want to touch certain foods, and it was a nightmare. It just, like Katie, I was literally petrified of him choking or something like that.
I felt a huge amount of pressure to do baby-led weaning because my health visitor was very much like, right, this is what we do now. They're sometimes very opinionated, and I actually went on a course as well with some of my mummy friends because I was, I hadn't done this before, so I paid for a course and went, and it was baby-led weaning all the way. The woman was like, you don't give purees, you don't need to give purees, your child will be a less fussy eater. Really? So I thought, okay, I bought the books, I read up on it, and I was really confident and really happy. So I predominantly did baby-led weaning with a few purees, and Noah at 15 months won't eat anything. He's so fussy. So
that worked really well.
I don't believe the hype. And now knowing him more as a child, now his personality's come out more. He's very sensitive. He sort of struggles with a few things. And I think he would have done better if I'd done a much, like you said, a much slower route with first tastes. Perhaps if I'd blended avocado rather than giving him a chunk of it, I don't think his little mind could cope with it. So
such a big step.
It is.
There's
it's
two
all
different
great
things at play, aren't there? They're learning how to eat physically, and then also introducing new flavours. And I think, like you say, doing it slowly That's, I mean, it's not to knock baby-led weaning, and I know some people absolutely love it, but I went down the puree route too, because like you say, they've gone from literally having an entirely fluid diet for the first 6 months of their lives to then suddenly expect them to know how to mush something up in their mouth. This seems like quite a big jump.
It doesn't comprehend. I can't comprehend it.
Yeah,
It's
and also because they've got, I know it sounds really silly, but they've got no teeth, and I just feel like, are they able to do it properly?
I mean, I know that with my first, he's 5 now. Baby-led weaning wasn't so much of a thing then.
Yeah.
Everybody pureed, and because of that, I've just done all the others the same way. And I know that the second time around, I got quite a lot of pressure from the health visitor. She's 3, so that will have clearly been, that was the thing they were pushing at that time, was to go along the baby-led weaning.
Is it a thing though? Do we think it's will
it just change again?
or is it here to stay forever?
I don't know, because I mean, when you read up on it, a lot of it does make sense, but then the 4 of us sitting here haven't had really great experiences with it, have we?
I do think every child is different.
I would say that gradually with mine, particularly with my older 2, I did progress from purees quite quickly. I think because I started them on veggie purees and they really took to weaning really quickly.
Yeah.
I introduced the lumps really quickly. We got straight stuck in with finger food and they loved that. But I never fully embraced that real baby-led weaning right from the get-go, just putting everything we were eating on their tray, because it just wasn't for me.
So that's what we think. Now I think maybe it's time to find out what the rest of the Channel Mum team think about weaning.
I did baby-led weaning with both of my boys and I loved it. I would definitely do it every single time. It meant that I didn't have to worry about pureeing things, I didn't have to buy them any special food. If we went to friends' houses, I didn't have to think about what I was going to take for them. It just was so much more of an easy experience with them. We done baby-led weaning with Ellie when she was around 6 months old. She absolutely loved it. I really enjoyed the whole experience as well, and I would definitely do it for our future children. I really liked that she could kind of get involved with meal times and she can sit with us while we had our dinner, and she pretty much had everything that we had that was obviously appropriate for her.
Love puree food. I think it is brilliant to get them used to the, the textures in their mouth and things like that. I am very anti baby-led weaning because you put all the bits in front of them and they suck it and bits can come off and they can choke on it. I've got this phobia of choking. I do not like it. I'm much happier with the puree. We did it with Harry, it worked. I'm going to carry on with Charlie.
When I was weaning my first baby, baby-led weaning wasn't even a thing. At least if it was, I hadn't heard of it. So I very much went down the puree route, which worked for us. He was always a really good eater as a little one, pre-toddlerhood, and having his own opinions on what he would and wouldn't eat. But up until that point, purees worked great for us.
I think with early weaning though, a lot of the time the health visitor will advise against it, but you know your baby, you know if they're hungry, you know if they're looking for something more than milk. A lot of the times they'll start like grabbing food when you're trying to eat, and I think you just need to go with your gut, and even if you try it and they're not interested, then you know and you've tried and you can put it on the back burner for a little while.
I personally prefer purees and I prefer that kind of form of weaning. I don't know why, I don't know again if that's kind of an influence from my mum, who baby-led weaning wasn't really around in her day, but I just like the fact that with purees you know exactly what they're getting. That said, I don't know whether to try baby-led weaning when it comes to my son and when I try and wean him in a few months' time, just because, yeah, it might be a different kind of change and see how we get on.
So some great thoughts there from our Channel Mum team. A lot of what we've said already, but something that's come up that we haven't mentioned is the whole homemade versus pouches thing. Now, I am all for pouches, and I'll tell you why. By the time you've bought a butternut squash, some carrots, some prunes, and something else that might be in a pouch, you've chopped it, you've half broken your arm trying to cut a butternut squash, you've then cooked it, you've then boiled everything, you've then pureed it, you've spent a fortune, because it's not cheap to buy all that stuff fresh, and you've whizzed it up and then you have to freeze it and that takes up room in, oh my goodness, just buy a
See, I loved it. I loved
Did you?
doing all that. Yeah, I think maybe because I didn't do it with Rika, where this time I literally, my whole Sunday was doing that. Like my husband was watching the kids and I would do that and I was like, yeah, he's gonna love this, avocado, done that, gave it to him and he was just like, bleh, like he just hated it. And I stored it.
Cooking, Mum.
Yeah. I was devastated. And then when I actually finally did take a pouch out out with me. And we was in a baby group actually, and someone said, "Oh, do you not do his myself?" And literally I could have burst into tears because I was like, I really did try, but he just didn't like it. And they was like, "Yeah, my one was like that, but you know, you got to carry on." I was just like, "No, he just doesn't want it."
Did he like the pouch?
He loved the pouches. He would like have the whole one like straight away. So
do you know what? They're so full of organic stuff as well. Yeah, they're not unhealthy.
No.
It's normally all organic fruit and veg and not a lot of anything else. So
that's the thing. As mums, we know to check the back of the packets, and if it's just got those ingredients, the fruit or the vegetables, there's no added salt or sugar or anything, I personally don't see a problem. Did you make your own? Or?
See, I always felt really guilty because we did pouches as well, but it didn't come without having that guilt.
Yeah.
And I also used to worry how they lasted so long, what made them, what preservatives were in them. But saying that, we always use them. Archie loved them.
Yeah.
And just like you, I just couldn't imagine being in the kitchen for hours and hours making his lunch, trying to include all of the ingredients that were in these pouches and the herbs and the spices and all of the things. I wouldn't be able to make him up a nice pureed lunch like that.
Oh, I loved it.
I just felt as soon as I'd be out of the kitchen from making lunch, I'd be back in making dinner.
Yeah.
And I had to work, so...
But I did it like you. I had a spell.
all in the ice cubes, containers, put them in the freezer.
We're right in the throes of weaning my youngest at the moment, and we have lost an entire drawer of our freezer.
Yeah, you do.
It's just bags and bags and bags of frozen vegetable and fruit ice cubes. I mean, for me, homemade is obviously the preference. I would much prefer my children to eat homemade stuff because I know exactly what's in it. But at the same time, we're out all the time, we're busy, and I don't think there's anything wrong with giving a pouch when it's a bit more convenient.
I think it's the ideal, isn't it, to home make everything. It's just not really the reality.
I also found, for me, when you're introducing something new, particularly when they start going onto those pureed meals, so there's meat involved in it as well, it was a lot easier to try it out with a pouch first rather than making an entire batch load in the freezer for them to go, I don't really like fish.
I did that. I discovered that he liked a spaghetti bolognese in a pouch, so I did it all. I'm vegetarian. I stewed all this beef that I don't like. I did all of that. I made it all for him. He literally took one mouthful, threw it on the floor, but the pouch, absolutely loved. So I just gave up in the end. I think you've got to do whatever is easiest for you. And time is precious as well.
And also what they like. If they're not liking what I'm cooking.
It's a big step, isn't it, from milk to solid food.
Yes.
I think you just have to go with what works for them and for you.
Definitely.
Absolutely. It's quite a daunting step, isn't it, at times? Well, that's what we think about the wonderful world of weaning, but we would love to hear your thoughts. Have you done baby-led weaning, or are you purees all the way? And what do you think about the whole topic of homemade food versus jars and pouches? Do you think they're okay? Leave us a comment in the section below. We would love to hear from you. Don't forget to give us a like and do subscribe to Channel Mum as well so you don't miss another instalment of Mum's the Word. If you feel really strongly about the topic of weaning, why not make your own video? We would absolutely love to see that. Tag us in on our social channels, we'll have a watch. And thank you for watching us, and we'll see you again very soon.